Heather Campbell. I'm a registered dietitian and I specialize in healing with whole foods. Today I want to do a little video on how to make your own taco seasoning at home. A lot of people don't realize how many problems processed foods cause, and people don't realize how consistently they're getting junk inside of themselves by just using store-bought things. So I encourage you to look at your ingredients. If you use taco seasoning and if you use a package, take a look at the ingredients. There's a lot of bad things in there. Just read for yourself. And this is just a really easy way to make it yourself. I am going to do a small single batch here that I'll put the recipe up as well. But what I do is I typically make it a couple times a year. I increase it by 4 or 5, sometimes even 6 times the recipe, and I make a big container of it. I actually just write on it, I reuse other containers and write what it is. So let's get started. What you start with is chili powder, and I actually already measured. I've got a tablespoon of chili powder that I measured out, and I'm going to dump that in. Try to get everything out. If they stick in your bowl or onto your utensil, just scrape them down in there. Next is garlic powder, and it's just 1/4 teaspoon. This is a great way to try it, just using very small amounts to see if you like it and if it meets your standards. I have been using this for years, and everyone in our household really likes it. The next is onion powder, and I use basically I use the minced or dried onion and garlic. They don't collect moisture and get hard. I don't know if any of your spices ever do that, but that alleviates that happening, so look for that. And what I do too is I buy our spices in bulk at the health food store and just measure, into a bag. Actually, my paprika, when we get to that, I'll show you. And then I just add that to my containers, and I have containers that I've reused for years, basically. Okay, so we've got our chili powder, our garlic, our onion powder. Next is the crushed red pepper, and I measured that out already. That is a 1/4 teaspoon. And next we've got oregano, which this is my second time doing the video. I accidentally whoops, put that away. Back to oregano. Alrighty. Need paprika. So I have my paprika, but here's where I needed to buy some more, and so I have that, what I measured out at the health food store. I need 1/2 teaspoon of the paprika. And then we need cumin, which actually I did measure out the cumin, but I do buy a large container of just cumin. Make sure you check ingredients. That a lot of times spices will have other things. If it says natural flavoring or anything but the spice, it's been added to, so try to avoid that. Okay, and then we need sea salt. We need 1 teaspoon of sea salt. And this is another thing just to keep in mind. Salt has gotten a really bad name over the last several years. You want to have, when you have real salt, salt used to be used as money. It was considered very healthful. And when you get real sea salt with a color, make sure it has a slight color to it. Himalayan is pink, that's what I've got here. And again, check your ingredients to see what it says. But often you'll see white sea salt. It's been refined, and we don't want that. Salt is actually really good for us when it's in its whole form. So 1 teaspoon of sea salt. It's the sodium that's in processed foods that's absolutely terrible for us. So that's really what we want to avoid. Table salt, if it's pure white, you stay away from that. Okay, and then the last ingredient is black pepper, which we grind ours. I have a pepper grinder. We grind ours fresh, so it's a teaspoon of black pepper, which I already ground. And then all you do is give it a mix, and you have taco seasoning. So I would encourage you to try this instead of a package. I usually find that for about a pound of meat or whatever it is that you're going to flavor, try 1 to 2 tablespoons. I'd say start with a teaspoon or 2 if it's a pound. Start with that. You can always add to it. And there we are. We've got homemade taco seasoning. And again, just add it to a container that you have, or you can store it in some kind of a plastic container. I also have another one here I'm going to add to that. And it should last months, I mean, if not more, in your pantry in a cool, dry place, and enjoy.